This is Johnny and Jose with TigerBomb MMA, and today we'll be going over UFC Fight Night, Korean Zombie versus Ige. We'll be going over the whole card, giving you thoughts and predictions. One thing though, like I know Korean Zombie prefers to go by Korean Zombie, but I always feel weird announcing him as Korean Zombie instead of Chan Sung Jung. Just who else feels that way? Like I know that he prefers Korean Zombie, but it always makes you feel weird. Like call him by his real name, man. But we'll start the fight card with a bout at welterweight between Tim Means and Danny Roberts. Danny Hot Chocolate versus the Dirty Bird Means. Uh, Currently, the odds have it as wow, minus 200 for Tim Means, plus 170 for Danny Roberts. I get the odds, but I think they should be a lot closer. Currently, Tim Means is on a two-fight winning streak with wins over Staropoli and Mike Perry. Danny Roberts, he's had it kind of rough within his last three bouts, but he did come back and get a win via knockout over Zalimi Madaev. It's very close because these two guys are very tall, 6'2" for Means, 6'1" for Roberts. Very close when it comes to the reach. 74-inch reach for Danny Roberts, 75 for Dirty Bird Means, and it's a tough one for me. I don't think the odds are correct at all. I don't think Tim Means should be minus 200 at 37 years old, and seeing how he's been losing as of late. He got kind of pieced up a bit by Daniel Rodriguez and got into that choke, and Nico Price just obliterated him. Danny Hot Chocolate, man, he's very explosive. He's very athletic, but he's had it pretty rough. His last two fights, in particular, Claudio Silva 2 years ago, and I always bring this up because I think it's so funny. It sucks for Danny Roberts, but Claudio Silva got him in an armbar that he was defending, but he screamed out loud, and Kim Winslow's like, tap, tap, tap. And he's like, I didn't fucking tap. He's like, you screamed. And then he was pissed, and rightfully so. You know, as a fighter, you're screaming to an armbar, and the fight gets stopped. Unfortunately, that is the rule. If you scream out loud, you lose the fight. It kind of sucks for him that he ended up going that way, but Chael Sonnen did it, so here we are. And then Michel Pereira knocked him out with a flying knee, and he just never saw it coming. And I think he was a pretty hefty favorite at that time because Michel was coming in as a late notice replacement, and then he just got obliterated. This fight really comes down to athleticism and pace, because Tim Means, if he gets on his rhythm and his pace, it's going to be a bad night for Danny Roberts. I don't care how athletic he is. Danny Roberts, he really needs to implement his full MMA game. He has to go for takedowns, attack the legs, and just be the faster guy. Tim Means is kind of a plotty dude, but even so, he's pretty quick with the hands, and he's quick with the combinations. He's willing to smack you up during those combos just to land the right either punch, elbow, whatever. And his ground game's not too bad either. He submitted some guys. He submitted Rafael. I was going to say Alves. No, Thiago Alves, not Rafael Alves. And it's a closer one. Although I think Dirty Bird Means might get the knockout. The value is on Danny Roberts. I think he's being undervalued. So I'll go with the underdog to win this one. It's essentially a dog or pass because I can't trust Means to not get hurt, knocked out, or whatever. Because as much as I love Tim Means, I'm a big fan of Tim Means. I'm realistic. At 37 years old, he's not a dynamic grappler like Damian Maia that can, keep fighting at that age and not take a whole ton of damage. Tim Means taking a lot of damage. So is Danny Roberts, but I think Danny Roberts is just too fast, too young, and being undervalued. So I'll go with the dog on this one to win by, I will say, decision.
I'm actually sticking with Team Means for this fight. He's shown I don't want to say he's shown a ton of heart, but I mean he's getting toward the I think the end of his career. I don't know how soon it's gonna come, but man, he well, here's one thing I'm saying. I'm seeing for Danny Roberts is he has been out for about a year and a half now, I would say. So he might have some rust on him. And while Tim Means isn't what's that guy's name? Well, he's just not a fighter who's going to, who's not known for murking guys in the first round. Doing that whole. Oh, I remember. I don't know if you guys have seen Wanderlei Silva versus Young TRT tour in, like, I think it was UFC some like 1999 or 2000 or something, where TRT tour just smokes Wanderlei in like the first 15 seconds of that round. He just, there's like a barrage of punches that I think it was back when the UFC allowed shoes or something. I recall one of them wearing, I think it was TRT Tour that was wearing shoes in that fight. But anyway, he murked the Axe Murder in like the first 15 seconds of that round. So Tim Means is not that kind of fighter. He's just more of a, he'll consistently just batter you for 3 rounds sort of fighter. And I see him battering Danny Roberts, countering him, wearing Danny Roberts out, and I think he'll get the decision. The odds definitely should be closer on this one, but I'm riding the Dirty Bird train on this one. I think he's going to get his third straight win. Danny Roberts, he's going to come back and be like, "Oh, mate, I'm too rusty," and then I think once he gets another fight in another few months, I think he'll do well there, but not against the Dirty Bird.
Our next matchup at welterweight, we've got about between Matt Semmelsberger and Chaos Williams. Currently, the odds, we have them at -170 for Williams, +150 for Semmelsberger. It's a fun fight, and I'm not guaranteeing it's going to end in the first round because Chaos Williams' last fight should have ended in the first round either way. But I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think this one it's either got the potential to be the fight of the night or a super boring ass fight. But we'll see. I doubt it. I really doubt it's going to be boring. These two guys come in here, they're trying to throw down, both have heavy hands, and both are trying to get the knockout. And man, these guys are evenly matched. 27 for Chaos Williams, 28 years old for Matthew Semmelsberger, 6 foot tall for Chaos Williams, 6'1" for Semmelsberger. The reach advantage goes to Chaos Williams by 2 inches. It's going to be fun. Both of these guys are known for their knockout power, as I mentioned. And I don't really want to get into too much detail because I can break this one down, give you the specifics, but just one perfectly timed punch from either of these guys is going to just destroy that whole narrative. It really comes down to who you think the better striker is, who has the more power. And just looking at it logically, it's tough to really pick a guy to have the better overall game between these two. I think Semmelsberger might be stronger, but I think Chaos Williams has the more definitive knockout power because Carlton Minus took a lot of Semmelsberger's punches, and Jason Witt couldn't take more than 1 or 2. But Jason Witt, he does have a bit of a chin issue, and he did not implement a game plan correctly for Matthew Semmelsberger, and he got starched. As for Williams, his last 2 knockouts, Alex Morono, he's not known to have the greatest chin, but he's a pretty solid fighter. Starched him in the first round. The ghost of Razak Al Hassan got knocked out in the first round. That kind of brings him down a little bit to reality when it comes to his knockout power because Razak Al Hassan, I don't want to talk ill of the dead. And then his fight with Michel Pereira, it was more that he got out positioned, out footworked. I honestly thought that Williams won that one, but whatever. It's a loss on his record. I will go with Williams to win this one. I think he just has that power, that negating power. Matthew Semmelsberger doesn't have the type of footwork to really keep Williams at distance or to really avoid his massive punches. It could honestly go either way with this one. I'm predicting a knockout from one of these two guys, but I'll go with Williams. I think he's just going to land the perfect punch, and Matthew Semmelsberger is not going to see it coming. So I'll go with Chaos Williams first round knockout.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. This one's very close, I think. I think will they both have power in their strikes, but I think Williams just has that, one. Well, here's the thing about Well, I should say I think Williams has that. He should be. Is Chaos his real name? Is that
Nah, it's
his?
some dorky ass shit. I forget every time. It's like Milton or some
Kalen.
bullshit. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it's Kalen. I was like, yeah, Kalen. Yeah, that's weird. He has two. Apparently, he has two nicknames. He's called Chaos Williams, the Ox Fighter.
Hmm.
That makes no sense to me. Um, but anyway, he does have that dynamite in his hand or hand. I don't know, hand. That being said, if he, so if he, what I've noticed is that if he, on average, doesn't get the first round knockout, um, whether it be TKO or whatnot, it usually goes to decision. He's gotten the decision more often than not. I mean, he didn't get it against Pereira last time. Um, so against Semmelsberger, I think if he doesn't get the knockout in the first round, it'll definitely go to decision. And if it does go to decision, I think Semmelsberger is going to have just enough to probably get that maybe by split decision. So it's tough. I mean, it's either he gets a knockout first round or it goes to decision. And I think Semmelsberger gets the decision. Um, so I will. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's one or the other. But if I have to make a pick, I'll just go with Semmelsberger by decision, split decision, I guess. He's on a bigger streak right now, and I think he has more upside in Chaos in the long run. So I'll take Semmelsberger by decision.
Our next matchup at lightweight, we've got the return of Joaquim Silva, Neto BJJ versus Ricky. They call him Ricky now. That's weird. It's Rick the Gladiator Glenn. Interesting bout. Currently, the odds we have them at. That's pretty close. Minus 115 for Silva. Glenn comes back minus 105. So it's near pick 'em between these two. And I get it. Uh, Silva got knocked out by Hack Brass about a year ago, and Kevin Aguilar decisioned Rick Glenn. Rick Glenn is tough. He's a tough guy. He's a scrapper. He's okay. He's kind of man. It's hard to really describe Rick Glenn without actually seeing his tape, but he's a tough guy. He's a grinder, if you will. There's not one particular thing about him that stands out other than his incredible toughness and determination to win a fight. For Neto BJJ, there's multiple things that stand out about this guy. He's very athletic. He is very good with the hands. He swings for the fences. This guy does very nice overhand right. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. The only thing about him is that I always worry about him gassing out. And if you gas out with a guy like Rick Glenn, man, he'll put it on you. So I understand the odds. Um, I don't want to go too deep into this one because this one has the possibility of going back and forth with me because if you I say this a lot, but if you think about fights too damn much, you kind of go in circles and you end up making a bad pick. And frankly, there's no real bad pick on this one. If you really think Rick Glenn is tough enough to take the punches of Joaquin Silva and just withstand the onslaught of jiu-jitsu, I would say go with Rick Glenn. I think he's just a tougher overall guy. I think he has the ability to even knock out Neto BJJ. But for me personally, I'll go with Silva. I think he's just too damn athletic. He should easily win a decision. He got hurt by Kevin Aguilar. That's a bad look for me, especially since Kevin Aguilar has kind of gone on a decline. And he just could not find Kevin Aguilar. I know he touched him up a little bit, but he just could not do much in that fight. I think Silva's just going to be too fast. He's going to attack the body, attack the legs, attack the head, of course, and then more than likely go for a takedown if needed, and then just ride out the rounds on top. So I'll go with a more explosive guy in Silva. I wouldn't be surprised if he gasses out in the third, and I'll be clenching my butt cheeks, but I'll go with Silva to win this one by a decision.
I'm actually going with Ricky Glenn in this one. I think he's earned his nickname, the Gladiator, every little bit, and I think he's actually going to use his range here, unless Joaquim Silva somehow, uh, you know, has been watching tape on Damian Maya and such against what's his name, that curly haired guy that just lost by knockout.
Askren.
Askren, yes.
About to say.
Yeah, because everybody, like, even I initially thought, like, oh, Askren, but I guess maybe everybody would ask, not to get too far into Askren, but suffice it to say, everybody gave Askren way too much credit when coming into the UFC. They thought, oh, here's the second coming of Jesus, of curly haired Jesus. But no, it was basically, a guy with a substitute teacher's body coming into the UFC and not really much there. But anyway, so I think he's probably going to have the range and get not to get too far into it as well, get the decision. I think he's going to be able to stuff those takedowns and not get into any compromising positions. But then again, I could be wrong. He could very very well be like Douglas Lima, just stand around uh, and become the Tyron Woodley of the lightweight division. But I'm still going with Ricky Glenn. I'm going with him to get the split decision here.
Our next matchup at light heavyweight, we've got the return of Nick Mereanu versus Alexa Camur. Interesting bout between these two guys. I'll start with the odds, of course. And currently, the odds we have it. Okay, that's funny. Minus 250 for Camur, plus 210 for Mereanu. I'll start with breaking down Mereanu. His last fight was 2 years ago to Saperbeg Safarov. I saw that fight last night just to get a refresher on Mereanu, and I was like, oh man, he got screwed. he gets he gets fouled so many times in that fight that Paul Felder's like, just disqualify Safarov, fuck him. And he did not look good in that fight. Even if ignoring the fouls that happened in that fight, the fence grabbing, the punches after the bell, he did not look good. And I understand why he's coming in here with so just horrible odds against him. But for Camur, this guy is 6-1. His last fight was against William Knight. He did not look good in that fight whatsoever. I thought Camur was going to just outstrike William Knight using his reach, his just height, everything. He was a superior specimen that night, but I guess he just could not stuff the takedowns, which is very concerning. He looked so bad in that fight that for him to be minus 250, it's ridiculous for me. It's going to be an interesting fight between these two because Mereanu, he is a Romanian wrestler. Man, his last fight was so bad. He got his ass beat so bad that the odds are incredibly not in his favor. And frankly, I think they should be. I understand him being the underdog, but I don't really see the value, or not the value, but I don't see the reasoning for him being that bad of an underdog because I actually think Mereanu will defeat Alexa Camur. Camur, he's still very young. Well, they're both young, 26 years old for Mereanu. Camur comes back at 25 years old. They're roughly the same in height. 6 foot tall Mereanu, 6'1" Camur, 75-inch reach for Camur, 73, and that's a weird thing. 73 and 73.6 inches for Mereanu. That's very specific. But I think the wrestling is going to be what makes a difference. Mereanu, he's very aggressive. He reminds me of a less bitch version of Romanov because he will go for suplexes. And Camur, he can get a little too wild in there. His striking, I would say, would be the better between the two, even though he's kind of sloppy. But I will go with Mereanu to win this one. I think he gets Camur down and he beats his ass. I think he'll eventually get like a suplex off on him because his last performance is so bad. I can see him wanting to prove a point. Although Camur trains with the great Stipe Miocic, it doesn't translate well into fighting for yourself. You can't go based off of the reputation of one of your teammates and have that really carry you into into a fight. So I'll go with Mariano to win this one. At those odds, it's really tough not to see him grinding out even a decision. But I can even see him getting a finish because he's a very aggressive guy. If you watch tape on him, he goes after you sometimes. But his last fight, he really left a really bad taste in people's mouths, despite him getting fouled. So I get it, but I'll take the shot on Mariano. I will be placing a bet on him. Maybe something small, but yeah, I've got Mariano to win this one by I will say decision.
I agree. I think Niku, is that his nickname? Nick Yu? Niku?
His name is Nicolau, but he goes by Nick.
It says Niku there. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's or Nisu,
Niku.
whatever his nickname is. Yeah, it's very. I was taking a look at his reach as well. That's very oddly specific. 73.6. I mean, they could have gone one more decimal down, but um, anyway, yeah. So he's 1.4. He has a 1.4 reach disadvantage. That's odd. I've never seen that before. Yeah, I think he's gonna be here. He's gonna be the stockier guy, and I think this is gonna be more of a like if like maybe John Jones versus who's that who's that guy from who's that pretty stocky bald guy from Sweden? Uh, damn
Latifi.
it. Latifi, yes. It's gonna be like a Latifi situation here with Nick Bleep Mariano. Um Mariano. Try saying that 10 times fast. I think it's going to be that sort of situation. It's going to be the stockier guy, and I believe he is going to use his grappling to his advantage. And I'll keep it short. I think he's going to get that decision just based on his grappling. Yeah, so I'll go with Nick Mariano by close decision. I'd say 29-28.
Our next bout at flyweight, we've got a fight between Laura Procopio and Casey King O'Neill. I like the name Casey King O'Neill or just Casey O'Neill because it reminds me of the Ninja Turtles, as if Casey Jones took April O'Neil's last name. So I always think of that when I hear Casey O'Neill. Currently, the odds are minus 120 for Procopio, and Neil comes back at a plus 100. And odds are pretty good because I had to rewatch tape on both of these ladies. And the one thing that stuck in my mind when it came to Casey O'Neill when she fought Shayna Dobson, because I put some money down on her, and I put money on O'Neill to beat Dobson, not because I thought, oh, O'Neill's this great prospect. It's that I'm thinking Shayna Dobson really sucks, and it paid off. Casey O'Neill is 23 years old. She's 5'6". It says here that she's training at Extreme Couture, 69-inch reach. Procopio comes back. She's 25 years old. She's 5'4", and she's got a 67.5-inch reach. So she's at multiple disadvantages here. She's shorter, lesser in reach. But to be frank with you guys, I think Procopio is just going to run through Casey O'Neill. The tape that I saw, I rewatching that fight with Serena Dobson. I just remember the feeling of feeling weird during the fight. So I'm like, why did I feel so weird during that fight? Like, what was so concerning? And then I watched the fight again. I'm like, oh yeah, she was not doing very good against Shayna Dobson. She wasn't doing bad. It's just that you could see how green she was because she had the better striking, and I guess Shayna Dobson scared her on the feet, so she went fishing for takedowns, and those takedowns were very, very kind of sloppy. I did not like what I saw. And there were multiple times during that fight where I'm thinking Shayna Dobson can easily reverse or do this or that. It's just that I keep forgetting, oh yeah, Shayna Dobson sucks. She eventually got the TKO, but it was not good. I did not like what I saw in that fight. I see Casey O'Neill just being a little too green for Procopio. Procopio, her last fight, she beat Molly McCann using her bread and butter. I really undervalued Procopio her last fight. I picked Molly McCann to win. I thought her takedown defense would be good enough and her striking would just keep Procopio at bay. But no, man, Procopio really showed me that she can implement a game plan. She's not afraid to strike with you, and she will fish for those takedowns and then get top control. She's a heavy girl. Even at 125, she just has the frame just to be very very heavy on top of you. She's a multiple time jiu-jitsu champion, and although Casey O'Neill, I can't fully remember what her rank is in jiu-jitsu. I think she's okay. I think Procopio is going to dominate her. I think once she gets it to the ground, she's going to batter her up. I'm leaning more towards a decision, but at those odds, man, minus 120 for Procopio to beat a green girl that doesn't have as much experience, even if she's getting beat up on the feet, that that gap in jujitsu skill is just too much. So even if Procopio gets hurt by a knee or something, I see her going for the takedown and eventually getting it. I was not impressed too much by Casey O'Neill. Maybe down the line, she does have to improve that takedown defense. Her takedowns in general, she's just a little too sloppy for me at this time. So I'll go with Procopio to win. I'll go at the very minimum a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if she just destroys her on the ground and eventually gets a submission. But I go Procopio to win by 30-27 decision.
Yeah, I'm not going to add too much more to this. There's not really much more to add. Um, Not really, it's not really one of the fights I'm looking forward to on this card. I'll jump on the Procopio train and just probably she'll probably grind it out as well. I believe as well. So I'll go with Procopio by decision.
Our next bout at featherweight, we've got a banger. We've got Juicy J, Julian Erosa versus Sunwoo Choi. It's Sting at this bout. Oh man, this bout is gonna be awesome. Currently, the odds we have minus 130 for Choi. Erosa comes back plus 110. Erosa's been an underdog his last few fights, and he's been pulling it off. Currently, Julian Erosa is on a 3-fight winning streak. He has notable wins over Sean Woodson. He came into the UFC. I keep forgetting if this is like his third stunt. He's been back and forth in the UFC, and he came in here on short notice and submitted Sean Woodson after he gassed out, beating his ass. Nate Landwehr, I don't know. I might have to start thinking differently about Nate Landwehr because he gets destroyed in the first round by Julian Erosa, like a flying knee and then punches. And some might say that would be an early stoppage. I had money on Landwehr. Landwehr had nothing that night. For Choi, I I've been a little weary about picking this guy because I know what he brings to the table and I know what his weaknesses are. Uh, his last two losses, they're not the worst losses, but you can see issues with his armor. I had to edit myself because I said something else. Mosvar Evloev took him down repeatedly and decisioned him. Gavin Tucker did the same thing, eventually submitted him. But he's come back. His last two fights, he's on a 2-fight winning streak. He beat Yusuf Zalal and he beat uh, Suman Makhtari, and I always have issues with that. I like Sting a lot. I like his style. He's very aggressive. He goes forward, but sometimes that forward pressure can lead to takedowns. I think this fight, it's really kind of come down to the chin of Julian Erosa because Julian Erosa has been knocked out so many times, and he has this type of path where he looks great and then he gets caught and he gets knocked out, and then he's on a winning streak where he's knocking dudes out and he looks great because he's very experienced. He's a very experienced guy. He's 25-8 compared to the 9-3 for Choi. So he has that experience, which is it's great, but that chin is always a liability with me. So it's really tough to pick Erosa, especially when you've got a striker just as tall as he is with the exact same reach, I should say, 74.5-inch reach for both of them. The way I see this fight going is that Erosa is going to feel the power of Choi. He's going to be very aggressive, and they might get into a little bit of a firefight. Erosa is not going to like it. He might go for takedowns, but with Choi and Erosa being so damn tall, I see Choi just stuffing the takedowns because that that change in levels for Erosa is going to be so damn evident that I think Choi is going to have an easy time stuffing those takedowns and then just battering him up against the cage. I will predict Choi gets the knockout. Actually, I'll go with a second round knockout. It should be a very fun first round between these two dudes. As long as Choi's takedown defense holds up, I see him winning this fight either by outlanding Erosa. Erosa's more of a he fights a little like Dillashaw, but like a discount version of Dillashaw. Like he moves his shoulders a lot, he feints, and then he throws a one or two strikes sometimes. But Choi, he just goes after you. So I'll go with Choi to win, just more so by his aggression. But I'll see it that he wins by second round knockout.
I've always wondered. Well, I guess I'm always either wondered this before and just forgot. Uh, but is he like the police version of Sting, or is he more like the Crow, WCW version of Sting? I've always wondered, like, what is he going for, or is he just like his own Sting, where he's just modeling himself after something I'm not aware of. Does anybody know? Very curious.
If it's the
Um,
police version of Sting, I think we're in trouble.
oh man. Yeah, I mean, not you broke it down. I think not really much to add here. You know, uh, Sting, I think, is the next superstar to come out of Korea. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Julian Erosa at this point as well. They both are 3-2 in their last five. But I think he's got more fireworks, or is that the right? More dynamite in his hands at this point. He's actually, wow, he's pretty tall, 6 feet. Wow. Yeah, after taking out, I think his performance against Yusuf Zalal really showed a lot. But this was almost 2 years ago. No, actually, a little over 2 years ago. He lost to Movsar Evloev, and he lost to Gavin Tucker. Now, those losses, would seem pretty. I guess maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. But actually, those losses, considering how good Movsar Evloev and actually how good Gavin Tucker have shown themselves to be now, um, really show like, oh wow, this guy, he he's gotten a little bit better, since then. But man, I guess I don't want to get into how good I think those guys are now, but I think he's gonna keep the winning streak going, with for Yusuf Zalal and Suman Mokhtarian. And unfortunately, Julian Erosa. I remember there was a fight card he was on where there was like, it was Julian Erosa and some other dude Rosa, and then
Oh, Charles Rosa.
Charles Rosa. But it turned out that Julian E. Rosa was the one who won on that card. It was a weird card because there were a few similarly named athletes, but turns out E. Rosa was the superior Rosa on that card. Anyway, um, yeah, he's been in the UFC for a while, 2.5 years or so. He's 3-3, but he's on up. He's on ups currently on an upswing. He had some losses against Devontae Smith, Grant Dawson, Julio Arce, but he made his. Oh, actually, wow, looks like did he leave the UFC? He
Yeah,
maybe got cut.
he got cut. He
Or
can't. He keeps doing that. He gets cut. He was in the Ultimate Fighter. He gets brought in. I think he gets knocked out a couple times. Goes away. Comes back. Gets knocked out. Gets cut. Comes back. That's his.
mm,
That's his trend, which is like concerning.
yeah, so I think he's gonna get a loss here. He may be cut after this loss. He goes out, has a good performance, and he'll be back. So I'm not really too worried about Julian Rosa. But Choi, he's I don't know, man. I don't know what it is about that bowl cut, but there seems to be some power in that. And I think he's going to get the decision here. If not, uh, I don't know, man. He might get the knockout maybe in the second round. Look at TKO. But Julian Russ is a pretty tough guy, so I don't think that will happen. But so I'm going with Choi by decision.
Actually, I have to correct myself. I completely forgot that his takedown defense has gotten a lot better. He's actually taken down Yusuf Zalal. I was like, oh shit, that's how that fight went. I'm thinking of it differently. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
for sure also going with Choi. It's not going to change my opinion. And also to answer
yeah.
your question, Sting is because I'm going to assume he's a B, just so we don't
Oh,
get any
okay.
comments like it's a B. It's supposed to be a B. I'm like, we
Yeah.
we get it.
Not only that, but I think these guys are the tallest guys in that division. 6 feet and 145 pounds. That's insane, man.
Well, Woodson, he's pretty damn
6
tall too, isn't he?
So it'll be like two light heavyweights fighting 60 pounds lighter. That's pretty funny.
Our next bout at middleweight, we've got Wellington Turman versus Bruno Bledando Silva. Not the good Bruno Silva. This is a different Bruno Silva, not Bulldog. This one is interesting. And I'll start with the odds minus 145 for Silva. Turman comes back plus 125. Interesting about it is that Bruno Silva was a champion in M1. He is migrating into the UFC. He was going to fight, forget his name, the little munchkin at middleweight, Duran Win, and he gets popped for steroids, and then he is on a 2-year suspension. So he's coming back after a 2-year suspension by USADA for testing positive. So it's a fascinating bout because this guy, as they put it, has a black belt in Muay Thai. So he's a good striker. He knocked out Shlamenko in M1 about 3 years ago. As for Turman, dude's kind of okay everywhere. My biggest gripe against him is that he got knocked out by Andrew Sanchez. If you get knocked out by Andrew Sanchez, like there's not really much you can do to convince me to make me pick him. Although he's got a shot here. He's been more active, of course. My concern is that once you open that floodgate of getting cracked, especially by a guy like Andrew Sanchez, who's not known for, knocking dudes out with strikes standing, it really it just makes it easier for me to pick against you. I will go with Bruno Silva to win by knockout. I've been watching some of his videos on Instagram. He looks really good. He looks like he's been training his grappling. He knows he has the power already to knock anyone out at that division. So I'll go with Bruno Silva to pull this out. I'll go with a first round knockout. Unfortunately for Turman, he's too young. Although they're roughly the same in experience, that youngness, that I don't want to say immaturity, but yeah, I guess a little bit of immaturity in the cage. I'll go with Bruno Silva to win this one by, yeah, first round knockout.
Oh, that's a pretty, yeah, I see that happening. I mean, um, the only one of the positive things I see about Wellington Turman is that he did beat Marcus Perez. Unfortunately, he wasn't the one who beat him so bad that they finally cut him from the UFC. Because Marcus Perez, if I recall correctly, was that guy whose claim to fame was, the Heath Ledger Joker makeup, right?
That's him.
Yeah, that's his claim to fame. Because that guy sucked. I didn't like that guy.
That, and he has a win over Ian Heinisch in the LFA.
Mhm. Wait, you mean
Maluka.
Marcus Perez?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, good for him. He'll yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much more to add here. I think I believe the can we call him the lesser Bruno Silva, I guess? No.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You get popped for
But
roids, you're the lesser of everything.
yeah, I think the lesser Bruno Silva is going to have enough to take out Wellington Turman. I don't know why I thought when I first read Wellington Turman, I don't know who I thought of that. I was like, oh man, this guy's a beast. Um, but I don't know. Shit, I don't know who I was thinking of. But then I looked at his record and everything. Once I looked at him, I was like, oh, never mind. Who the hell was I thinking about? Um, but yeah, I think Bruno Silva, he is going to get another W here. It's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be a fairly lackluster fight in terms of Turman not really, uh, giving the lesser Bruno Silva a tough fight. So I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. I'm going to go with Bruno by decision here, but I wouldn't discount uh, even Bruno getting a knockout in, let's say, maybe the second round or a TKO. But I'll definitely say Bruno Silva by decision here.
Our next matchup at heavyweight, we've got Josh Parisian versus Roque Martinez. Currently, the odds on this one are minus 130 for Parisian. Come back on Martinez plus 110. Very fascinating bout between these two guys because they're both coming off of losses. Martinez more so than Parisian. Martinez came into the UFC. He fought Alexander Romanov, and I'll say this about Martinez: Romanov tossed him around like a bitch, and he could not finish him until like later. Because when you think of Romanov, you're like, oh, first round knockout, first round submission. Didn't happen. So I always remember that, like, hey, you can't always bet on Romanov to win in the first round. And then I'm thinking maybe it's because Martinez might be a little too damn tough. His fight with Don'Tale Mayes, same fucking thing. I'm thinking Don'Tale Mayes should knock this guy out in the first round. Did not happen. It went the distance. I was like, son of a bitch. Like I can never pick props against Martinez correctly. But the guy is tough, right? He's a little butterball, man. I like the guy. Like I like his toughness, but he's just not the most skilled dude out there. He's 35 years old. He's 5'10", fighting at heavyweight. There's not many guys that can do that well. And for Parisian, his last fight was a loss to Parker Porter, which was interesting. It was a unanimous decision loss. I picked Parisian to run through Porter. This is one of those weird misconceptions like, hey, Parker Porter got knocked out by, I think, Dawkins in his UFC debut. And you're thinking, oh man, if Dawkins can knock him out, Josh Parisian, who's bigger and some might say stronger, maybe not the better striking, can also knock him out. Not the case. That night, Parker Porter was not being denied. He went right after Parisian and he made sure he got a W. It was a good back and forth fight, but it really brought Parisian stock down a little bit. But frankly, I can't pick against Parisian. He's got the more diverse striking. He's the way bigger guy. He's 6'4", 79-inch reach. At the very minimum, he can get a decision by implementing the Don'Tale Mayes strategy, just keeping Roque at the outside and then just battering him, getting an easy decision. I'm going to go with Parisian to win this one. I think he will be hungry after his last fight. For sure, Martinez will be hungry, but not in that way. But Parisian's going to easily win this one as long as he doesn't make any stupid ass mistakes. I can see a way Martinez wins this one. This isn't like a oh for sure thing. Martinez, he's fighting for his job at this point. He just has to implement the same game plan that Parker did and just push him against the cage and just swing at him. But if Parisian minds his P's and Q's, being the bigger guy, the longer reach, he should win this one pretty damn easily. So I'll go with Parisian to win this one by a decision. Being heavyweight, he might get a knockout in there with one of the sneaky attacks. He's very, very diverse. He throws some spinning attacks sometimes, and he's just a big dude. So I'll go with Parisian at the very minimum to win this one by a 30-27 decision.
Yeah, I'm also reluctantly going with Parisian. He did get embarrassed by Parker Porter, who's, yeah, man, that was one of the more embarrassing fights I've seen as of late. Besides that guy who calls himself RoboCop getting murked in the Contender Series. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they have this guy Roque, who should be, a middleweight or even light heavyweight. at heavyweight. He's I don't know, man. He's 35. Well, I should say Roque is 35 years old at this point. I don't know. I don't really. I guess maybe he also has come to the realization that, like, why the hell is he going to cut 40 pounds, to go to light heavyweight and, have a resurgence in his career. He's like, fuck it. I'm pretty sure Roque is going to get cut after this fight. I'm going with Parisian by decision as well. He's going to have the youth, the, speed, the weight advantage, the height advantage. Just got every single advantage. If Parisian loses by knockout to Roque Martinez, dude, Parisian should get cut, because they've set him up for victory here. I'm pretty sure he wants to rematch with Parker Porter. Yeah, dude, if he loses, that's going to be embarrassing. He should definitely get cut if he loses. But I'm going with Parisian by decision, because apparently Roque Martinez has a rock solid chin, so I don't see him knocking him out.
Our next bout at strawweight, we've got a fight between Vera Jandiroba and Kanako Murada. Currently, the odds have it at, where'd they go? God damn it, I just had them. Minus 155 for Jandiroba, plus 135 for Murada. Interesting. For whatever reason, I thought they were flipped. But no, we've got a jiu-jitsu black belt versus a strong Japanese wrestler. And this one's tough because I see a split decision coming, and I'm always in the wrong end of the split decisions. For example, I picked Jandiroba to win her fight against Mackenzie Dern, but Mackenzie Dern at that point proved like, hey, I've got way more power in my hands, and Jandiroba just lost the moments in that fight. I don't think she got dominated or she got beat devastatingly. It was close, but she lost moments in that fight, and she does that sometimes. And you know who's really good at winning moments of fights? Murada. She'll take you down. You might attempt a leg lock on her like Randa Marcos did, but she still controls the pace of the fight on the ground. I guarantee that Murada is going to take down Jandiroba. The thing is, what is Jandiroba going to do? Is she going to get back up and try to strike with Murada? Because Murada's not the best striker. She's really small. She's 5'1" compared to the 5'3" for Jandiroba. It's an interesting one because the odds, I think they're right. I think Jandiroba is just the more skilled fighter overall, complete. But the one thing that Murada does is something that is the downfall for a lot of ladies in this division, the wrestling. And if you can control someone on the ground, it doesn't matter how good you are on the feet or how good you are off of your back, because Jandiroba, she is good off of her back. She submitted Felice Harry with an armbar off of her back, but I don't see her getting a submission on Murada. It's very possible that she can, but my gut is telling me Murada is going to edge this one out by a split decision. Judges like to see control from the top, and it should be that the person on the bottom doing more, actively striking, trying to gain the better position, going for submissions, even though if they're not really deep or threatening, like at least throwing your legs up for an armbar means that you're doing something compared to just the person on top doing nothing, should win you the fight. But that's not how judges see things sometimes. I'll go with Murada to win this one by a very, very close split decision. I think she will take down Jandiroba at will. Jandiroba will be active from the guard and off of her back, but it won't be enough. I think Murada is just going to land that one extra strike to negate everything that Jandiroba is doing, and split decision win for Murada. Yeah, we'll see how this one goes. I think it'll be an interesting one. It's got the ability to be exciting on the ground with these two ladies, but my gut's telling me it's going to be boring as shit. So I'll go again, Murada decision.
Yeah, I think this is, funny enough, going to go the way of Jandiroba versus Carla Esparza. Not that Murada is anywhere near the wrestler that Esparza is. But one thing to note is that Jandiroba is, she has fairly good jiu-jitsu, but I think she's better on top than off her back. And I think that's part of the reason why she lost in Mackenzie Dern, because she was so hesitant to have Mackenzie on top of her, because Mackenzie is actually very good both on top and on bottom. Do I get a so Mackenzie is good on top and on bottom, and Virna recognized that, so she was very hesitant, with the very just I guess scared to a certain point to have Mackenzie all over her like butter on bread or toast, whatever. So that's why she was focusing on that and not so much the striking, and she made Mackenzie look a lot better than she actually was, I guess, to a certain extent. Because I heard the announcer saying, "Wow, look, Mackenzie's striking has gotten so." It really hasn't. She just kind of went for it. And said, "Oh well, Virna was just kind of a deer in the headlights in that whole fight." Um, and I think that's going to continue, unfortunately, because I was starting to become a fan of Virna Jandiroba, uh, like I kind of am a fan now of Luke Bunmi, uh, just because she's a scrapper, and I thought, oh, Virna's going to be a scrapper as well, but she didn't scrap, and so I think she's just going to be, she's on a downward spiral right now. And I think Murada's going to take advantage of that and just not smother her, but just do what she does, grind out a decision. And unfortunately, it's going to be on to the next one for Verna if there is a next one. I think there will be, unless she gets like 3 losses in a row, then for sure I think she's going to get cut. But as of right now, I think she is not looking like she's UFC material. So not much more to say. I'll take Murada by decision as well.
Before we begin with the main card, just like to ask you guys, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. We love talking to you guys. It just help the channel grow. I will say one thing. I've got a bit of an announcement. I should have brought this up in the beginning, but I didn't want to say anything when it came to this particular thing before it actually happened. But for the last maybe year or so, I was very interested in doing actual MMA judging for my state. And I was going to do Big John McCarthy's course back in 2020, but then COVID hit. So I just recently did the course for my state. I can't say what state just in case they're like, hey, shut the fuck up. But I'm pretty damn sure I passed. So I should be doing MMA judging for the state of blank in the foreseeable future. And yeah, I'm excited. Like I'm excited to at least bring something different to the channel. Like, hey, I have some bit of validity to what I'm saying when it comes to especially judging. So maybe down the line, if there are any scorecards that you didn't necessarily agree with, I can actually look at them and break it down, maybe make a video on them to see why the judges saw it a certain way. Because the training that I had was pretty solid. Like I very much enjoyed it. Might be making some changes to the channel in the near future, but we'll see going forward. And again, yes, please like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think about the content so far. Always looking to improve. Eventually, I think we're going to get better mics, start doing face-to-face bullshit once we get to a certain point. But enough about that stuff. Let's get to the main card. The first bout in the main card, Marlon Chito Vera versus Dangerous Davy Grant. The odds are currently in the favor of Vera, of course, minus 250 for Vera, plus 210 for Grant. And I'll ask you, Davy Grant's been kind of a underdog killer as of late. Not that he kills underdogs, is that he is an underdog and he's also a killer because Martin Day knocks him out left hook. Then he comes in against Jonathan Martinez. He was a pretty big underdog. Martinez was like, oh my God, it's Martinez, the dragon. He kicks real good. I'm like, yeah, he does. But then he gets starched by Dangerous Davy Grant. And I know a lot of people, like personally, they're like, oh, I got parlays with Martinez in it. I'm like, I'm staying away from it. Like Davy Grant's literally been living up to his fucking nickname of Dangerous, and he knocks out Martinez. I'm like, damn, like, is this going to happen with Marlon Vera? It's a close one because Chito's last fight was against Jose Aldo, and a lot of people were talking shit about Aldo, like, yeah, he didn't look good and he's this and that, and Cheeto's going to run through him. But Aldo is a very crafty, skilled veteran, and he really, I don't want to say he exposed Marlon Vera, but he did teach Vera a very important lesson of do not underestimate your opponent. Don't just try to strike with them. And he was put in a position in the last few rounds where his back was taken and he just had nothing. He could not get out of it because he had a very experienced jiu-jitsu black belt on his back. He defended the chokes very well, but he was just out of luck. He got backpacked the entire round. I don't think that's going to happen this fight, and it's going to be a fun. It's going to be a really good fight between these two guys. I'm very excited for it. But I got Chito Vera to win this one. I can I can tell you multiple things about Chito that I like. I like his scrappiness. I like his his aggression, man. He's really good. He knocked out Sean O'Malley, and it is what it is. If you don't agree with the actual stoppage not being a fluke, or if you don't think it was a fluke, I personally think it was a legit knockout. He bounced his head off of the goddamn canvas. Marlon Vera is a very dangerous guy. He's got a very good chin. Frankly, although Davey Grant's been on a really good streak of knocking dudes out, I don't want to say that it's a fluke because he threw a punch that he intended to land to knock someone out and he did it. It's just that I don't think people take him very seriously sometimes because it's Davey Grant. He's 35 years old. He lost to some dudes that really put a sting on your name. Like he got choked up by Manny Bermudez, and there's a way to beat Manny Bermudez. And he got beat by Damian Stasiak. He got submitted, and Cheeto's very good off of his back. He's good with the submissions. He's good with the hands. He's good with the kicks and length. And Davey Grant's been knocked down multiple times. He almost got knocked out by Martin Day. I got Vera to win this one. It's going to be a very entertaining fight. I see him. I want to say a knockout because, like, I feel a kick, a left high kick is going to catch Davey Grant. But my concern is that Grant's not a huge pushover. His chin isn't incredibly terrible, but he will be stunned enough for Vera to maybe snatch the neck or go for a submission. So it's really tough for me to choose if it's going to be a knockout or a submission. But I'll stick with knockout. I'll go third round TKO. It'll be a very fun, entertaining bout. And Marlon Vera is eventually going to tire out Davey Grant with his pace and then just maybe knock him out against the cage.
Yeah, this is going to be a good opener to the main card. Marlon Vera, I don't want to say he's made it as of yet because he hasn't. I mean, sure, his claim to fame at the moment is not, that TKO against Krusty. But that being said, he's got a long way to go as far as making it in the sport. Jose, Aldo showed him in their last fight, as you mentioned, and I think he's got that hump to kind of get over. But that being said, Davey Grant isn't exactly Aldo, isn't going to be an Aldo caliber fight, and I think against these non top 15 guys, he's vastly improved, especially since this is a rematch 5+ years ago. And in those 5+ years, Vera is training now with the with the former undisputed middleweight champion Luke Granite Chin Rockhold. Apparently Rockhold has, according to Rockhold, he has Israel Adesanya's number, and he's just waiting for his turn to show the world that he will once again rule the middleweight division. But as soon as Rockhold wakes up, he's going to realize that, it was just a dream, just kind of like that dream I had that one time where I was attending Derek Chauvin's execution.
2 weeks in a row, bringing it up.
Yeah, man. It's still pretty freaky, man. It sticks with you, and I'm like, why was I attending this execution to begin with? I'm still questioning that. But anyway, back to Rockhold. No, not Rockhold. Vera.
Yeah.
Vera has vastly improved. Part of that is training with Perillo, over at Ruka Sport. And I guess I guess more so than Rockhold. Bisping trained there, as did Cyborg for a while. I don't think she's training. I don't believe she's training there anymore. I don't think she needs to, with the competition belt and whatnot. But that being said, I think Vera is improving fight to fight. Despite having lost to Aldo in his last fight, that was a pretty steep curve. Pretty steep curve. Going from Krusty over to Aldo, because Aldo he doesn't throw as many leg kicks as he used to, but still the leg kicks that he does throw still are pretty. He throws one or two, he's like, oh shit. He reminds guys like, hey, I still can throw them, and when he does throw them, he knows exactly where and how hard to throw them. He's mainly relies on his boxing now, which is fine. But anyway, he showed Vera that there are levels to that. And Vera is gonna in turn show Davy Grant that he is several levels above him at this point. Still, well, not still, but once again, and he's gonna bounce back with a W. And I think he's on track to maybe rematching Krusty down the line when it comes. I think they're both on an upward trajectory, and they're both going to either rematch for maybe a number one contendership at some point, or to fight for number one contendership. Fight to get to the number one contendership. I don't know if Vera or Krusty are going to be champions at any point, but I think they're going to get to the at least top 5, top 10 ladder, and maybe compete once again, on a pay-per-view rematch or whatever. And that'll be interesting. But as of right now, I'm taking Vera by decision.
Our next matchup at welterweight, we've got Diego Lima versus the immortal Matt Brown. Currently, the odds have it -175 for Lima, +140 for Brown. Interesting. I see why. Of course, Matt Brown has been cracked multiple times. He's just not the same fighter. Diego Lima also has been cracked multiple times, but he seems to be a different fighter since then. He's always been the Douglas's younger brother. And what's funny now is that maybe maybe the tides are changing where Diego Lima is maybe the better Lima brother now, because after that performance last night from Douglas, it's like shit. It's almost so bad that it makes me discouraged wanting to bet Diego Lima in this fight against Matt Brown. Uh, but I won't, because Diego Lima is probably going to knock out Matt Brown in the first round. And I say probably because he might knock him out in the second round. Matt Brown, he has significantly slowed down. He used to be one of my favorite fighters. He's just an elbow machine. There's his fight with Eric Silva, and I bring this up quite a bit. His fight with Eric Silva had me so hyped that I'm eating cereal at night watching Eric Silva versus Matt Brown. I got lightheaded watching that fucking fight because there was so much action. I was like, oh my God, this is too much for me. And I had to put my cereal down. So I always have, and I will always have, the most immense respect for Matt Brown. He is one of my favorite fighters. He theory has it that the elbow that he landed on Diego Sanchez is what caused him to be, Diego Sanchez of 2021, made him crazier. But yeah, Diego Lima, his last fight was a loss to Bilal Muhammad. He did fairly well. He was destroying Muhammad's leg, and he did not look. He lost the fight clearly, but he just didn't look like he was blown out of the water. He always appeared to have a chance. He protected his chin well. Matt Brown, his only shot is to knock out Diego Lima, or at least hurt him enough to get a choke in. I don't think that's going to happen. Diego's vastly improved from his days of like getting tapped out by Jesse Taylor and getting decisioned by Yushin Okami. And then he's just cleaning up his game. His striking is getting a lot better. He's actually throwing kicks, unlike his brother is these days. And yeah, he should win this one pretty easily. Unfortunately, Matt Brown at 40 years old, I don't think he has much left in the tank. it's not looking good for him. He did not look good against Carlos Condit. And I love Condit, but even Condit didn't look that great. And it was just kind of a weird performance from Matt Brown. He seemed to gas. I'll go with Lima to get this one. First round knockout. I think a nasty left hook or maybe an uppercut's going to catch Matt Brown and then just put him out. And then that'll be it for him.
Yeah, Matt Brown is turns out he is not immortal. Um, and yeah, this is after. I would say if we had recorded, even before yesterday's Bellator event, we're recording on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the narrative would have been a little bit different. I would have been biased just toward this being or us considering the Diego the lesser Lima. Now he's the superior Lima all of a sudden. Wow, what a difference 24 hours
I wouldn't
makes.
go that far.
Yeah.
Diego does have 3 Bellator championships under his belt.
You mean Douglas?
Yeah, Douglas. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, at this point, Diego might as well have 3 Bellator championships under his belt. Maybe I don't think that. You know what, Douglas? He won his $1 million, so I think he's fine. I don't think he's gonna get a 4th Bellator championship. Diego might. Who knows? He might get cut. But I don't think it will be because he lost to Matt Brown. Matt is, as you mentioned, on the wrong side of 40 or 30. Is it 30? 40? I don't know
40.
how that works. Yeah. No, I don't know how that. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
the wrong side.
understand how.
Oh, he's right at the edge of being. Yeah, he's on the wrong side of 40. He's 40 years, 5 months, and 1 week and 2 days. Had he been 40 years, 5 months, 1 week, and maybe one day, I'd be like, maybe I'll pick Matt. But no, those 2 days extra, he's getting rocked.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss the good old days of elbowing Diego Sanchez on the crown of the head. But yeah, Matt Brown, he's been on the slippery slope since 2014. I would say Matt Brown from 2012 to 2014, he was my favorite fighter by far. Even when he fought Robbie Lawler in 2014, still, he offered up a fight. Even when he lost to Johnny Hendricks in 2015, I was like, you know what, Matt Brown still kicks ass. He beat Tim Means, but then he got schooled by Damian Maya, Jake Ellenberger. Well, that's a name you haven't heard in a long time. And Cowboy. And then it's like, ah, shit. And then he beat, he, yeah, he teleported Diego Sanchez to another dimension. Apparently, he elbowed him. That's well, I guess to a certain extent, you can say that Matt Brown has a portal gun in his elbow, and he portaled Diego Sanchez to another. Anyway, for you Rick and Morty fans, yeah, his last two fights, he did lose to Miguel Baeza. He lost to Carlos Condit. Not to discount Carlos, I'm also a Carlos Condit fan, but yeah, he looked like shit. Yeah, Matt Brown does not look good. He might, after all his, recent losses, Jesus, he's, been peppering wins with, 2 or 3 losses. But I think he's going to have a 3rd loss here against the currently superior Lima, and he is, I don't know, he might get cut, man. I see him getting cut, unfortunately, after this. So I'm going with Diego Lima by decision.
Our next bout and our co-main event, we've got a bout between Alexei the boa constrictor Oleinik and Sergey the polar bear Spivak. Currently, the odds we have minus 225 for Spivak. The return on Oleinik is plus 185. Oleinik is one of these guys that you can never count out because you put him in a bad position and then he's got you in an Ezekiel choke and you're tapping out from mount. For Sergey Spivak, he's been one of these guys who came into the UFC very unimpressive, He just looked like one of these guys, like a build a fighter from the game that you just never remember. Very plain looking, other than the fact that he's got a giant polar bear tattoo with a cage behind it on his chest. He's just not very impressive. And then something kind of switched on him recently, and he's just looked very good against certain level competition. He beats Carlos Felipe very, very decisively. He TKO'd Jared Vandera, and Jared Vandera, I like Jared. I like his style. I like how scrappy he is, but Jared Vandera is kind of an idiot. Um, so I'm kind of torn between this one because I've been picking Oleinik each and every time his last two fights because of that threat of the experienced guy who can take you down and choke you out. But as we saw with his fight with Chris Dawkins, if you can't take him down, or if Oleinik can't take you down, he's kind of prey in the feet. And Spivak has really improved his striking. His straight hands, his jab is really good. And I hate to say this, but I think I'm going to pick against Oleinik this time, and I'm going to go with Spivak. I think Spivak's got the takedown defense. He's the bigger guy. He's 6'3", 78-inch reach. Oddly enough, uh, Oleinik, he's got a 2-inch reach advantage over Spivak, but I don't think he uses his striking as clean as Spivak does. He throws looping hooks. Man, Oleinik's last win was against Verdum, which was a split decision. That was really the last time he looked incredible. He got knocked out by Derek Lewis, although he had Lewis in a pretty compromised position. It's just that Lewis just King Konged his ass. He just got up as he does from bottom, and then second round knocks him out. But yeah, I got Spivak to win this one. As long as he doesn't make any dumb mistakes or tries to test his wrestling with the boa constrictor, he should be fine. And that could be a thing, right? Like Oleinik, I can see a lot of guys in the heavyweight division, especially from that part of the world, holding Oleinik so high up in regards that Spivak might get starstruck a bit. I don't see that happening though. Man, I hate picking against Oleinik, man. Every time I pick against Oleinik, he ends up winning, which is pisses me off. And every time I pick against Spivak, he ends up winning. I'm going to say cancels itself out. 26 years old, over 43. Oleinik's been knocked out in his last two fights. Spivak, first round knockout. He catches him right on the button and then just finishes him off on ground and pound.
Okay, the polar bear, Sergey Spivak. Is it Sergey? Jared Vandera. Yeah, he beat Jared Vandera, Carlos Felipe in his last two outings. But one thing to note is that he did lose to Marcin Tybura um, and Walt Harris. He lost to Walt Harris via knockout. But Marcin Tybura has made I don't want to say like it's not a comeback. He's made a resurgence. He's surged. I guess his career's surged. I don't know if it's resurged. But anyway, Tybura has been on a bit of a streak lately, and it actually started with Spivak. Anyway, not to get too far into Tybura, but he did start with Spivak. He beat Grisham, Rothwell, Hardy, and recently beat Walt Harris. That I'm only making that note just with regard to Spivak and kind of the Tybura esque, I guess, um, style of fighting, which is to kind of smother guys. Right, he does have a bit of grappling, but not to the level of Oleinik. Now, I would say, Spivak has to, be on the lookout for Oleinik's grappling, but I'm pretty sure he's already aware of that. Now, Oleinik is, 40 plus years old. He's 43 to be precise, and I believe he is nearing, as great as he is, as much respect as I have for him for all he's accomplished. I think he is nearing the end of his career. Now he did have success, against Maurice Green, Fabrice Verdun, but he didn't look as good against Lewis, and he did just get TKO'd. It was 3-4 months ago. Actually, he's gotten KO'd and TKO'd in his last two fights. His last fight against Chris Dawkins, was in February. uh, and that's kind of tough. That is to say, Spivak. I think he's due to knock uh, Alexei out, possibly in the second round. I don't know how how hard they're going to come each other in the first round. I think the first round is going to be more of a feeling out process for both of them. But I think Spivak, he's probably going to get the knockout in the second round. If he doesn't get in the second round, I think he's for sure going to get the decision. Oleinik, he's going to go for his, patented, grind up against the cage, get him to the ground, and try to choke him out. For his name, the bow constrictor. I don't believe he's going to, Oleinik in his last few outings, he's gotten dominated by, bigger, stronger guys, or gotten knocked out, I should say. And I think Spivak is on point to also knock him out. But in case he doesn't, in case Oleinik survives somehow, uh, I don't believe I don't believe Oleinik is winning this fight at all. And I think he's maybe get cut from the UFC after this fight. I don't know how much more punishment I want to see Oleinik take. I'm sure he wants to keep fighting and all, and I'm pretty sure he can against low level guys, but against these younger up and comers, I don't think he has. I don't think he has a chance, to be honest. So I'm going with Spivak either by second round KO, TKO, or by decision.
In the main event of the evening, we have a bout between Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie, and 50K Dan Ige, taking place at 145 pounds. Currently, the odds are dead even pick 'em, minus 110, minus 110. And frankly, those are perfect because I have no real read on this one, because this one's going to be one of these fights that I'm just going to sit back down, enjoy, and not worry about who I have money on, because anything can happen in this one. They're so evenly matched. They're both 5'7", 72-inch reach for Jung, 71-inch reach for Dan Ige. They're so good in every aspect of the game. They're very complete fighters. Dan Ige, he hasn't really beaten a guy or has that definitive name on the record that says, hey, this guy is like the man. He's going to be maybe fighting for a title. I know he beat Edson Barboza, but the way he beat Edson Barboza wasn't definitive enough for that name to be like, wow. Like at this point, even with a win over Barboza, I think Barboza is way above Ige when it comes to like who gets the next title shot or who's closer to the title shot. I'm not sure what the rankings are, where they are, but his last win was a knockout over Gavin Tucker. And I discredited Dan Ige in that fight. I thought Dan Ige didn't have the je ne sais quoi to beat Gavin Tucker. I thought Tucker was just gonna outstrike him, maybe clearly win the decision, knocks him out with one freaking punch. And that was just ridiculous. Like where did he get that crazy knockout power? Or where did Gavin Tucker's chin go? Did it go on vacation? As for the Korean zombie, his last fight against Brian Ortega was concerning for me because a lot of people were on Chan Sung Jung and Ortega. The thing about Korean zombie is that he's the type of fighter that if he implements a specific game plan to a T, I think he overthinks things, and you can definitely see that he overthought that fight with Brian Ortega. And that is not a good Korean zombie. Korean zombie goes out there and does instead of thinking. He was just too worried about getting taken down. The elbow that landed on him and then rocked him, it changed everything in that fight because he just wasn't doing what he needed to do to win that fight. And I think he just was too worried about getting knocked out. And Dan Ige, he has the power. He has a very solid chin. He took an ass whooping from Calvin Kattar for 5 rounds. And that was part of the reason why I thought, man, Calvin Kattar just destroyed Dan Ige for 5 straight rounds, and maybe Gavin Tucker is just going to pick up the scraps of that. And no, Dan Ige is a tough guy, and if it goes into a firefight, likelihood is Chan Sung Jung's chin isn't really going to withstand it anymore. He's been knocked out a couple times. He got knocked out by George Roop back in the WEC, nasty head kick, and then he got elbowed by Yair Rodriguez with that ridiculous backwards elbow. And to be frank, Brian Ortega might have essentially concussed him really bad in that fight with that spinning back elbow. And maybe that was a reason. I think that now that I think about it, I think he might have mentioned that that elbow really clouded his brain. The thing about Chan Sung Jung is that he's fighting out of fight ready. I've seen a lot of tape with these guys. Um, Coach Eric, I keep forgetting his name, Al Barsai, whatever, Coach Captain America, the dude with the glasses. I can't pronounce his name without seeing it. He's been getting Chan Sung Jung ready by, I guess, mocking out his walkout, putting on his music, and then walking out with the crowd, which is cool when you visualize things and it kind of helps you in that moment so you're not nervous. But it also scares the shit out of me because why are they doing that? Is Chan Sung Jung dealing with some sort of like mental stuff? Like he's just, I don't know, maybe he's just not all there. He just can't perform. Is he dealing with some sort of anxiety? Like I've never would have thought that about Chan Sung Jung until recently. And then that fight with Brian Ortega is like, man, he's not pulling the trigger. What the hell's going on? So it's very concerning for me, man. I don't think Danny Gay will ever have that problem. He'll just go out there and be like, fuck it. If I get knocked out, I get knocked out. And he goes for it, which for that particular reason, I think I'm leaning towards Dan Ige to win this one by a decision. It'll be really, really close. If Chan Sung Jung performs to the best of his ability, it's a really tough night for Dan Ige. But I can't. I don't know if I can trust Chan Sung Jung to perform again like that. Like he's 34 years old. He's taken multiple breaks. He's beaten some really good guys. He destroyed Moicano, but he beat Frankie Edgar. And man, Frankie Edgar at 145 at that age, it's not the most impressive win. Man, I got to go with Danny Gay. I'll go with Danny Gay to win this one by a really close decision. I think 3 rounds to 2. Chan Sung Jung maybe gets some of the later rounds when he like kind of snaps out of it. Maybe even the first round, maybe the first 2 rounds for Chan Sung Jung, and then Danny Gay maybe cracks him in the later rounds. Maybe the second half of the second round, and then the tides start to change. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not touching it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this fight. I think it is going to be a crazy back and forth. I just do not have the best read on it. I cannot advise you to touch it at any line, but I will go with Danny Gay to win this one by decision.
I also agree. I'm going with Ige, but I'm going with Ige for slightly different reasons. Now, yes, he is Chan Sung Jung, and he still has, his moniker nickname, the Korean Zombie, but he is no longer the Korean Zombie. He can call himself all he wants, but he is no longer that guy. So if you take a look at his record, for those zombie fans out there, he was the Zombie up until 2013 when he fought Jose Aldo, and he lost that fight due to a dislocated shoulder, I believe. I might be mistaken. And subsequently, he just couldn't defend himself. So it says he lost the punches, but realistically, his shoulder dislocated and he couldn't continue. So from there, he took about a 3.5-4 year break to join the Korean military, to take part in the
mandatory.
Yeah, the mandatory military service in South Korea. And he came back. He beat Dennis Bermudez round 1. But then he lost to Yair Rodriguez with that insanely awkward upward behind the back elbow thing. Then he beat Renato Moicano. I honestly I wasn't aware that he even fought him.
Well, he starched him, man. He starched him in the first round.
Yeah. Then he beat Frankie Edgar, first round knockout. You think, oh, the Korean Zombie's back, right? But then Brian Ortega brings him back to reality. And he does, that John Jones, what's now known as the John Jones-esque elbow. And I remember I think in an interview or one of those interviews, him saying that he didn't recall the rest of the fight after that elbow.
Yes.
And so, that kind of messed him up. Dan, and fighting Dan Ige. Well, here's another thing. Since then, Chan Sung Jung, yes, he's had success, and he's had more recognition in Korea as being, the Manny Pacquiao of that country, in terms of, like superstardom, I guess. But unlike Manny Pacquiao, he's never won any championships in the UFC or carried his country like Manny Pacquiao has. Nor is he a senator of South Korea. Um, so that being the case, well, the point I'm trying to make is this: is that Chan Sung, I'm no longer going to call him the Korean Zombie because he's, at least in my eyes, he's no longer the Korean Zombie. He's Chan Sung Young, and Chan Sung Young is more conservative. He's more hesitant. Yes, he is more. Yes, people are going to say he's more calculated. But I think he's just more worried about getting knocked out or getting starched. As yes, Brian Ortega didn't knock him out necessarily, but he did scramble his brains in that fight. And I think Dan Ige, he is more of. I think we should call him the zombie instead because he took that beating from Calvin Qatar, and he came back and he beat the hell out of Gavin Tucker. That's something that would be that's something some an MMA fan would see from the Korean Zombie. You know what I mean? Getting the hell beat out of him for 5 rounds, and then coming back in the next fight and then starching a guy and. Because that's reminiscent of the Korean Zombie earlier on in his UFC career, let's see, where is that fight?
Yeah, he had that incredible war with
with Leonard Garcia.
Leonard Garcia. He had that crazy war with Garcia, and then he gets knocked out by Roop, right?
Yeah, so he gets the hell beat out. Well, he didn't get the hell beat out of him, but yeah, that was where everybody's like, holy shit, this guy is a zombie and he's Korean, so let's call him the Korean Zombie. No, I think he already had that nickname, but anyway, he lived up to that nickname in that fight. He lost by split decision. He got knocked out by Roop. He comes back. He rematches Leonard Garcia in the UFC. He beats him by twister at the end of the second round, before the round even ends. But then he comes back and he knocks out Mark Hominick.
In Canada, by the way. He knocked him out in Canada in like 7 fucking seconds. It was awesome.
In 7. So yeah, it was crazy, man. So and then he beats Dustin Diamond by Darce choke in round 4. So how crazy is that, right?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, he used to have those kind of fights, the kind of fights that Dan Ige is actually having right now. And so I think Dan is for sure going to win this by decision. I don't think he'll be able to knock him out. I think maybe he'll wobble him or something. But I think Dan is going to just take over this fight and get that W. And the Korean Zombie is just going to be complacent, as I've seen him as of late. And I think this is probably going to be the last time he headlines even a fight night. Yeah, I'm not sure what he's ranked number 4. That's pretty high for the Korean Zombie, in my opinion. But Dan's gonna, climb his way up the featherweight ladder in this fight. And yeah, it's crazy to think that the Korean Zombie is only 34. But anyway, Dan's a little bit younger. He's got youth on his side, but he's got pretty good technique. And I think he's going to have just a little bit too much for the Zombie to handle. Excuse me, I keep calling him the Zombie. He's no longer the Zombie. He is Chan Sung Jung. He's Chan Sung Jung to handle it. And yeah, man, it's Danny his time right now. Chan Sung Jung's time. Those years that he took off the military, I think those would have been his prime years for sure. But yeah, he's Chan Sung Jung's just going to be in the UFC for a few more fights. I think for at least 3. I would say at least 3 more fights. Just due to his popularity. But then he'll probably go to the, I don't know, he'll probably be, uh, um, he's going to be a superstar in one championship in, I don't know, 2023 or something, 24.
And those have been our picks for UFC Fight Night, Chan Sung Jung versus Ige. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below about our picks. As always, it's been Johnny and Jose, TigerBomb MMA, and we'll catch you at the next fight.